Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Triton Cup 59. We are in our grand finals. Once again, it is I, Mad Gamer II, joined once again by Chili Boy.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for bearing with us while we took that short break, and we are finally here. The big grands, the fight for the crown, the fight for the Sendu badge, which a very coveted Sendu badge. Both these teams have just been incredible all evening, really. Just shown that they absolutely deserve to be here. Seeds number 1 against seeds number 3, but Hells Paradise, very, very impressive showing against Potager on winner's side, a 3-0. Potager have had time to have a very long losers run and do very well throughout that process, so they're a bit warmer than Hells Paradise, but we'll have to see how that plays out in practice. We're hoping for a bracket reset, but Hells Paradise are going to make that very challenging, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. We are in our final match of the evening, not counting the potential bracket reset. So this is for all the marbles. Both these teams have fought hard to get here, and they're going to be bringing everything that they have to this match. We are on Hagglefish zones as always. And so far, these are, as I said before, these are the comps that we've become to expect from these teams.
Yeah, absolutely. Noctis has been doing a great job with that rapid for most of the evening, but getting absolutely shut down by the E-Leaguer as soon as I say that. Classic commentator's curse. Potager with the opening statement with the first pick. Both teams having the tactical to even the score in terms of quick trades and responses, but Potager managing to get a decent number of slays here and keeping the numbers advantage for the majority of this opening minute, so looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, Potager has Hells Paradise on a bit of a stagger right now. They're just trying to find some footing here, find a couple of splats. They are able to contest the zone, and that is going to be 2 members down off of Potager, so this could be Hells Paradise chance to move back in. Is playing with that Tenderbarrel once again, and as the wrap as well, I would say they have a lot of setup that they need to do in order to stay in, but I think that balances out well with the poking power of that brush that we've been seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. The brush for its poking power, it's distracting and just causing general havoc, but the actual paint power on Hell's Paradise comp isn't great, really, because the brush can't safely paint most of the time. The N-Zap's probably the only one well placed to. So Potager looking like they're going to try and get the retake very quickly here. There's 3 down. There's only Noctis alive, and Noctis is going to have to recall at some point in the near future, which they do, and are penalized for. So Potager looking like a very different team to they were winner's side. We're seeing that aggression that they've just used so beautifully to win their losers final set, and Hell's Paradise are having the exact same problems, which is yeah, very, very interesting.
That's right. So far, Hells Paradise, they've been able to cap zone once, but they haven't been able to really get a solid lock of the middle here. Potager is just taking down the members one by one, keeping them staggered just to keep them out of zone. And we do see the dualies pushed pretty far in. They do get shut down, but it's just enough to keep them at bay. We are down to 10 points and a possible knockout unless Hells Paradise is able to cap this zone. But the clutch 3 down, and they are able to do so with only 3 points remaining. Now all they gotta do is hold it out for a near knockout to win this match.
Oh, that's gonna hurt Potager. That they were so close, and then suddenly 3 of them down. But like you say, a mere knockout against a team of Potager's caliber, that is not a trivial ask. There's 2 minutes on the clock, and Potager know that they can afford to take their time a little bit more with the lead that they've created. So the E-Leader setting up on the tent, applying as much pressure as they can. One of the Twitch comments has also just made me laugh. Masters had just said Potager faced only tents this tournament, so I guess that experience against the only good tent brothers in the meta right now coming in clutch in this matchup.
Well, as we said before, neither of these teams have really changed up their comp, so the more you've faced off against it, the more you're able to adapt and just know what to expect. And so Potager is certainly learning from their experiences and putting it into practice, but even though Hell's Paradise hasn't changed up their comp for the last couple of sets, they are still putting up a fantastic fight against Potager here, getting another splat off the splatter shot, but we're slowly running out of penalty points here. Potager once again in knockout territory, as Hell's Paradise is able to cap it once again.
They capped it, but they struggled even with a numbers advantage, which is quite interesting. So I think again, the paint power advantage Potager have has been quite helpful in, even though they've still lost the zone when they've lost the kind of aggressive engagements, they have still been able to stall and delay Hell's Paradise recapping, and that they're feeling the impact of that on their timer, on whittling the penalty down. I mean, 52 is a colossal penalty to receive with a minute left on the clock, so I don't think we'll see a knockout from Potager. Hell's Paradise will be the ones who are doing everything they can with this big push to end this here and now, but the numbers are even. The map control, however, is not. The map control is massively in Hell's Paradise's favour, so we need to see how Potager responds to that with limited movement options.
I think the thing Hell's Paradise is going to have to do, well, short of taking out the E-Leader, which they've just done, like, they can't really give Potager any space to work with if they want to keep this, but it is so close right now. 1 point, and is a fight of attrition here, but as we mentioned before, that just the extra ink that Potager has is going to keep them in the lead for the time being, and with 15 seconds remaining and such a huge penalty, that is going to leave Potager in such a huge advantage here.
God, I absolutely love moments like that, Ahmad. I'm so sorry for my squeaky noises over your very insightful commentary there, because I was being much more of a degenerate. But just seeing that back and forth of the zone just ebb and flowing between both of them when it was so crucial, that's when people panic and they can be really punished. I was quite surprised Potager didn't lose more players just scrapping to hold that zone, but they have managed by a singular point to hold that incredibly intense game one and get themselves on the boards. That is more than they achieved in the entire winners finals set. So different tone as we go into this, and thoroughly entertaining. They felt really even teams there. I didn't feel either of them was stronger than the other. I felt Potager just clutched out moments slightly better, and I also feel the painting advantage they had was quite important when it came to timer ticks, and you know, when you win a game by a point that shows how holding the zone for even a second longer just matters so much in the grand scheme of things.
I 100% agree, and I think the one thing I was going to point out is, like, when you're going up against a comp with an either, like, the thing you don't want to do is give them space. You don't want to let them have their range. We saw when Potager was in control, they were pushed up all the way against the wall, up onto the ramp. We saw the dualies all the way onto their plat, of all things. However, when you're going up against Elir, the last thing you want to do is back up, because not only will you give them within their range, but it just gives their members time to drop and just get positioned for their specials. And I think that's what we saw there. Hell's Paradise was, even with their brush on hand, they were backed up just a little bit too much, and so that gave Potager a chance to get onto their side of the zone and just throw a couple of specials out. And when it came down to the paint battle, Potager was going to win out on that.
Absolutely, and I think you're so right about kind of their comp as well, because Nakahara there being the incredible anchor that they are, absolutely crucial in allowing Potager's game plan to work the way it is, and we really felt it, didn't we, when we saw Nakahara get picked off by Hell's Paradise, that actually Potager stumbled quite a lot then on that retake. They managed it just barely. As you pointed out, they're kind of in control being a factor in that, but they need Nakahara up, and even if Nakahara's not necessarily getting picks, just threatening people across so much of the map forces people into positions that the rest of the team are so good at taking advantage of to win those engagements. And as soon as Hell's Paradise were working around that, Potager were panicking a bit more. So they're going to Umami Ruins. It'll be interesting to see what Hell's Paradise bring out here. I don't expect too much compositional changes because they've stuck to their comp all evening, but much better room to do what they want to do here. Like, Anger can choose a lane to shut down, really.
This was a counter pick in their last set as well, Hell's Paradise versus Potager, so this is going to be interesting. I can't remember who ended up winning this one, but it is certainly a it was a pretty quick pick for them. They pretty locked down almost immediately, so they definitely have a plan going into this.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of how these teams respond to each other. It looks like compositions are identical on both sides, so both teams holding strong in what they do and their game plan. It is that game plan that has got them this far. I imagine we probably won't see much in compositional changes this entire set, really. It's more going to be adapting to each other's kind of play styles and that kind of strategic, coordinated thinking. Noctis has just gone down, so Protege have an opportunity here to get a bit more map control, but they're struggling. It's looking pretty scrappy, and Anger, the Tent Umbrella, doing what they can here to create some space to get the first claim on the zones.
Indeed, Hells Paradise is slowly pushing Protege back. The E-Leader and the Duelies are going to be going down, so the last two remaining members are on their court side. So that's going to give Hells Paradise a lot of room to set up, a lot of paint to throw down. Now this is the position that they want to be in. Like, once they can start pushing up, once they start taking away that space, they might be able to be in for a good lockout here.
Yeah, and it's what's so scary about Hells Paradise's comp is, you know, they've got defensive options in the form of the Brella's Shield, they've got some good aggressive power and ability to poke for really heavy damage, and they've got the Tacticaler if they need to just make a much more aggressive and risky play, so very hard to recover from. Protege being very patient, very smart in terms of not just making too many risky plays, waiting till those specials are ready, then engaging. It's looking like a lot of trades. A trade against the Crab Tank that's painful, but there's only the Brush alive on Hell's Paradise, which Mickey hasn't managed to take out, but has managed to force into Sharking, so that is a very important reclaim for Protege, just to slow the game down a little bit and to give them a chance to get some more of this map.
I was just going to say that Brush hadn't been spotted out, so I was waiting for one of Protege's members to go down, but they did able to suss them out before they could make a move, so now Protege is in close to taking this lead back and taking down the end tap once again. That is the main painter for Hell's Paradise. Tenderbrell as well. That is going to be the lead swap right here, and so they have such a good opportunity to start pushing back, start taking that space that Hell's Paradise was holding for now, but they're still contesting that. I think that is the cooler once again coming into play.
Yeah, I think it's the cooler combined by how Anger's shield allows people to just walk behind it while raining ink down. It hasn't got them there this time. They have been stopped, but Anger taking someone with them. And what was quite interesting before about Protege winning engagements is it was quite staggered deaths for Hell's Paradise, so they were getting a bit desynced. They have lost another player there, so they're running out of time. This could well be a knockout for Protege. They threw their penalty. There's 10 seconds on the clock. They've lost their Brush, who's so good at creating distractions to get them in. They're forced to be aggressive, and they don't want to be right now, because look at that map control. So Protege, what has happened between winners and losers? Because this is a completely different set, and as much as we thought a reset might not happen, Protege primed to reset this bracket right now.
It's like, I feel like that bit of cooldown that you have sitting in grand finals is it is underestimated, but I think on top of that, just the fact that these teams have played before, and as just once again they've been able to learn and adapt as they've gone through. So it's just everything that Hell's Paradise have been able to throw at Protege so far, Protege is able to take into account and just throw right back at them.
Yeah, it's brilliant to see, and I think it's there was a moment in the game, sorry, that you pointed out where Hell's Paradise had full control of both zones, were moved quite heavily up. Had kind of specials ready to go. Were looking very scary because he ends up at tactical already. Protege did very well to take their time addressing that. They could have tried to contest it, and I think they would have been locked down even harder, but they played it really patient. They focused on building up special. They didn't get much map control back, but they got just enough room out their own base to start making their way back in, and then they went on a full coordinated assault and managed to retake. So I think Hell's Paradise managed to get about 50 ticks off that push, but Protege knew they could afford that if it meant the retake was stronger, and that's what allowed them to flip the momentum around. So a lot of small decisions going into that game playing out the way it was, but really impressive stuff from both sides, really. I think Hell's Paradise are far from out and far from this being a reset, but there's going to be a bit of pressure on them now that just wasn't their winner's side.
Indeed, and looking at this next counterpick, I am once again surprised. Like, this is a Undertow, another dual zone map. but just once again, the amount of terrain that is out there is like it kind of counteracts what you want to do as a tent umbrella, as far as I understand how a tent umbrella is played. So it is surprising that Hell's Paradise would choose this as their counter pick, considering that they have a tent umbrella in their comp. So I'm curious to see what their plan is to go at this. But it is certainly a good setup for E-leaders and crabs, just with the amount of high ground you have on it.
If there's anything I've learned about Splatoon 3 after the crab tank meta was finally patched, it's that these games are a kind of constant education at the moment. I think the meta's in this really nice position of evolving, and how I think a weapon would play isn't necessarily how it ends up working out well in practice. So I share your opinion, Imad. I'm not sure how the tent umbrella is going to work here, but let's see what Anger kind of does to educate us. I can see the Ink Brush having a lot of fun, going absolutely wild with so much space to work with to create distractions. So maybe they'll be relying on Zay to distract and displace people and take advantage of that. But other than that, no compositional changes. Again, it looks like there's just minor changes in people's builds depending on the environment, which makes sense.
Yeah, that is true, Shirley. I am definitely not an expert on a lot of these weapons here. I am just a simple Splatling main, but that is going to be the dualies going down first with a ends up to trade. Is a bit of a scrap right now. The brush is kind of stuck there, but as you said, it is going to be a bit of a playground for the brush if they're able to get through this choke point that is the mid area. So far, no team has a solid hold yet, but the E-leader is making their presence known.
They are indeed, and they're going to be a key figure for Hell's Paradise to shut down if they're going to want that free movement across this map. Ely setting up on the glass is just absolutely terrifying to deal with because nowhere feels particularly safe. But the brush here doing their best and slapping two people into oblivion, getting a trade on the third, going absolutely ham. And I think Nakahara was actually their target. They just blitzed everyone else out of the way to get to them. So that was a beautiful showing by the brush. Nakahara doing their job of being the anchor that we know them to be. Shockingly, Hell's Paradise not really getting any timer off of that, which is quite surprising and could cost them. But yeah, that was beautiful from the brush.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, that brush just went in and splatted 3 members of Potager, and yet Potager came back and are still in control zone. No penalty has been applied so far. They got 2 members of Hell's Paradise down, including that brush. So it's like they're coming back strong. The E-leader just not been able to been knocked out here. I think that has been the main focus point. They are able to finally take down the E-leader, but they just have lost so many members in the process that they haven't been able to get a solid hold on any of the maps so far.
Yeah, it's really surprising, and I think it's a bit of a rare miss from Hell's Paradise in that, you know, there's a really good opportunity to cap that they didn't take, and it's costing them here. Potager extending their lead down to 33 ticks. Hell's Paradise technically have 101 points to work through. They're in a worse position than if they hadn't capped the zone at all. And they're still struggling here in this engagement. They are popping the tactical, and now this is going to be the best chance to make something happen, but Nakahara applying so much pressure, getting the pick. Potager's frontline is just taking advantage of that displacement beautifully, and I really can't believe what we're looking at, Imad. This is just such a different set to what the winner's final story showed us.
100% Chili. We are finally seeing the tides turn just a little bit. 3 members down off of Potager, and Hells Paradise is finally able to cap that zone. Like, so far, just with the E-leader alive, that whole left side of the whole left zone has been completely shut down. Even though Simo and the brush have been trying to contest the right side, just you gotta be able to cap both in order to get any points, and they just weren't able to do so. Potager, even though they got the penalty now, they're still in solid control of mid.
As a spectator, I love dual zone maps because of how stressful they are to maintain a cap. As a player, I despise dual zone maps for that exact same reason. But I think there was a bit of a certified Ninty netcode moment there as well, because Anger brought out their umbrella and still got kind of sniped for it when the shield appeared to be live. So don't know if that's just a bit of a delay that we see as kind of spectators or whatnot, but that was a bit of a confusing interaction. The map is looking a little bit healthier. It's not brilliant, but Hell's Paradise do feel like they've managed to create some movement opportunities for themselves, and they have managed to have a couple of very brief holds. We know if they get one big opportunity, that can be enough for them to shut the game out. But as I say, that Potager responding so consistently, and that was a delayed wipe. So again, Potager's consistency right now is just making it really hard for Hells Paradise to get control.
Yeah, Hells Paradise has been able to, like, I don't know, they were putting a wrench in the kind of cogs that Potager had so far, but already they're starting to keep back into their flow, starting to shut down Hell's Paradise and keep them from really gaining any control once again. Like, they are in KO territory with only 30 seconds remaining, so we're once again in an unfortunate situation where Hell's Paradise has to make some risky plays that they don't necessarily want to do.
Yeah, and I think that is such a huge element, is forcing someone into a position where they have to go into disadvantageous engagements is part and parcel of what all the best teams kind of do when they have that advantage state, and Potager did that incredibly well throughout that game. So, despite Hell's Paradise having an incredibly convincing 3-0 victory winner's side, we've just seen a reverse of that in Grands. So Potager managing to knock Hell's Paradise into losers, and we will have a run back here, best of 5 one more time to take the crown. Both teams now on an even footing in standings, and be very careful with your Twitch chat bets, because I wouldn't want to call this either way. Obviously momentum seems hugely in Potager's favour, but Hell's Paradise shut them down a lot before, so it could be some massive psychology mind game, or they could just be giving us the script so that me and I might get to commentate a bit longer. I don't know. I just don't know anymore.
I mean, I just want to formally apologize to Hell's Paradise. I afflicted them with the ultimate commentator's curse. I wasn't even on stream. I wasn't too sure that we'd be seeing a bracket reset, but not only have we seen a bracket reset, that's 3-0 on a Potager. They have, as you said, just completely flipped the script in their favor. Like, if they keep this up, this could be the end of Hell's Paradise run.
It could indeed, and I think either way, these are two teams that you can just be incredibly proud of how they've played. We've had constant entertainment from both of them, and they have both shown just how incredibly talented every single member on these teams are. These teams would not work if it was not for what each individual member is bringing to the squad and how well they respond and work with each other. So it's a beautiful showcase of what high-level, well-rehearsed gameplay looks like. What is a bit tragic is that we will be starting on Hammerhead, I believe, which is a bit of a contentious map to say the least, but if there's any teams that can give us an entertaining back and forth, it's these two. So this could determine a lot. Get going at 1-0 here, having momentum, having the luxury of, you know, that final counter pick if something does go to a game 5 is crucial. So this is such an important game for both teams to win.
Going to Hammerhead, that's not one of my favorite maps, but just seeing the presence that E-Leader had on Undertow, even more so is going to have on Hammerhead. Like, this, going to this, like, just from the numbers perspective, Potager definitely has an advantage in this first matchup, but this could also benefit having that Tenderbrella on hand, because a lot of the open space that would normally give favor to the E-Leader is taken away having a tent on hand.
Absolutely. I think it's such an interesting series of interactions, and I think that's probably been a factor in why it's been 2 blowouts, ironically, despite these teams being well balanced. Is just kind of that momentum and understanding of what each comp is trying to do and how to best respond to that. So it's we're just kind of waiting to get set up here before we go into this with the bracket reset. They haven't set up to do that yet, so just gonna have a quick nosy on what's going on, but yeah, both teams probably just taking this as an opportunity to catch their breath as well and let the adrenaline settle, because you don't want to go into a match kind of tilted or heightened or stressed, because that is just a recipe for misplays and misjudgments, which neither team can afford right now.
Well, absolutely. Like, we've already played so much, we've watched so much Splatoon already, but these players have played so much Splatoon in this tournament. It's been a good, 4 hours. So near the end, this is the time where, like, you do want to lock down, you do want to focus up, because you are getting near the end of the tournament time, and the fatigue is going to start to set in. So I think having a breather like this is certainly helpful.
Yeah, hopefully not too much of a breather though, because I want to get in the action and see what they're going to be doing. Really, it looks like we are there now. Teams are just putting their comps together to see what to do. Again, I really just don't anticipate much weapon changes. I know we've spoken about, I guess, the quite risky nature of Hell's Paradise comp, even though it has worked out very well for them for the majority of this evening. They seem to be pot committed to making that composition work and have shown that they can do so. So I think, again, it is just going to be more about how these teams feel each other out, or who they target, how they kind of shut down the approach. If I was Hell's Paradise, I'd be doing everything I can to get Nakahara out of there, because, as I say, Nakahara just existing creates situations that aka Mikey and Nadir can just take complete advantage of. So easier said than done. A good E-liter doesn't let you get to him, but they need to find a way to address Nakahara's pressure by existing, because that is what is costing them a fair bit of opportunity to retake, I think.
I have to agree with you there. Like, off the top of my head, I can't think of a good way to effectively counter. Like, 100% they're going to be sticking with the same comps. Like, if they haven't changed so far, I doubt they would do it now, but that kind of limits of like your options for, alright, how we're going to go about this, because a weapon change is easy. It's a quick way to counteract something, but like if you're going to stick to the same comp, then it becomes a mind game of our team strat of how we're going to go about and stop that charger from really wreaking havoc against us.
I guess we're going to be finding out right now, because I agree. I have no idea how they're going to do it either. I don't have the answers. I'm just enjoying seeing how they plan to respond. But this is it. This is our final set for this Triton Cup. It has been an incredible ride. So many talented teams battling it out. But Hells Paradise and Potager, cream of the crop right now. And here we go. Looks like a relatively neutral start. Hells Paradise have lost a player, but map control in their favor, which tends to be the theme at the moment. Less players, yet more map control. A good response from the Crab Tank. They're getting 2-3 down, so Potager not only going to get a quick recap themselves, but they're going to have a massive opportunity to immediately move up.
Yeah, this is the danger of Hammerhead. Like, yes, you have a lot of open space in mid, but it's the pushback that you experience in zones that can really set the tone of the match. So far, Hells Paradise has been able to keep them from really pushing up too far, but if they get onto that second ledge, that could spell so much danger for them, because it's going to be hard for them to break out. They certainly will have to expend resources to just get out of spawn, and that will not leave them too much left for the zone.
Yeah, second ledge is doom here. Second ledge is almost impossible to recover from, and that is a staggered series of players going down for Hell's Paradise. So it feels like there's a bit of panic here. Potager managing to just continuously apply pressure, not just doing what they can with the jet, but they don't really have much map to work with, and all of Potager are up, so it's not going to be the easiest jet to use. They get a very clutch pick on the dualies in the zone, so a pick that painted for them, and this should be a recap, so they have recovered. That was a brave choice, but it did work out for them. It's whether they can apply the offensive pressure now to shut Potager down, because that has been proving incredibly challenging for them this set.
Hells Paradise now in this position to do the lagouting. We did see 2 members of Potager go down, and with no penalty holding Hells Paradise back, that is certainly going to put them in their favor. Another member down, the dualies and the shot going down. That's a lot of their paint out of commission, as well as several of their specials. This NZAP is going ham in this corner. They cannot drop without going back to spawn immediately. This could be the turn of Hells Paradise luck right here. That's going to be the E-liter and the NZAP down once again. They are so running out of time quickly.
Wow. Yeah, I think this is it. You know, I think they've done it. I think they've done a full retake. They are finally dropping a couple of players, but it is way too late. That was an incredible response from Hell's Paradise after that was looking at a very scary start. And yeah, big shout out to NZAP there, because what I really love about that decision making was the fact that how played that is. They got the tackler at one point. They threw the tackler out there for their teammates, but they actively chose to take it themselves, because that would have given away their sharking. So they got the Tacticaler out there as a support to support their team, but because they were in a Slayer role in that moment and they didn't want to give that up, they chose not to pick up the drink themselves, and that actually worked out really well because then people dropped down and got really punished for it. So it was a risky play. It could have cost them big time if they traded, but they just popped off. So I think, you know, big shout outs to Wasabo for creating an opportunity there that has given Hell's Paradise momentum going into this reset.
We talked about like how is Hell's Paradise going to combat just the amount of presence and range they have with the E-Leader comp. They showed us if the E-Leader is going to have so much space and presence, just take away that space. The NZAP in that corner, they were able to take out any other member that went up against them. The E-Leader was distracted somewhere else, so just they had a free reign of that space, and that just let them get splat after splat, and then it just slowly ticked away the timer until they just ran away with the KO.
Absolutely. I think we had a brief moment of becoming robots again that I'm tragically, so our genius analysis was censored by the Splatoon gods. Apologies for bleeding people's ears out with our robo impressions. We don't mean it. It's just something that happens. I blame Spy because this happened to him first earlier. So Spy, if you're watching the VOD, this is your fault. But no, absolutely. And the beauty is we've got 4 juicy counter picks now. The action is far from done. Potager, that's going to sting that they lost the opening game, but hopefully they're riding off that belief from how they've had that 3-0 victory in the first kind of set of grand finals, which means that it won't phase them too much. They've gone to Mako Mart, so you know, a well-respected, well-enjoyed map, but again, a map that everybody is strong on, so I can't see this being a blowout for them, but I'm sure they'll have a game plan here that's going to make it tough for Hell's Paradise to go 2-0 up.
Indeed, and we did see some Mako Mart action in one of the other sets with another team. Simo on that Tenderbrella certainly put good work for it, but it's like, again, how are they going to go about this? Like, I am not experienced enough with the current comp that they have to know like what is the best position to approach this, but certainly the E-Leader is once again going to be a strong presence on this map that they're going to have to deal with.
Yeah, and getting quite deep in, managing to get the tactical buff there going just in case they get into a more tricky engagement, which I like because it just allows them to get back in the action quicker if someone does get the jump on them. So Potager making the opening statement, Hell's Paradise responding quite promptly and kind, and we have a Zuka war going off in sync, but it looks like Hell's Paradise getting much more map control here as there's this bit of this stalemate, and that is going to prove problematic for Potager very, very quickly. We have some analysis from Pat J, one of our other brilliant commentators here at Dapple, saying that no team here can win on their own counter pick, and that seems to be proving true at the moment.
I had a bit of a I don't know, like, I lost track of whose spawn was which, because that brush was pushed so deep into Potager's base. It was like, I thought for sure that that was their side of the map, but no, they are just so pushed so far deep, and they have taken it as their own, and so far Potager has difficulty getting back in, but they were able to push them out, and they're slowly taking back the map control that they lost before.
Yeah, they've been punished heavily for that rough start, but I'd say they're in a pretty nice position now. They've got decent control of mid. Nice awareness from the E-Leader to get the cover there from the Zuka as it came out. That's keeping them in it, but they're so good at getting behind, aren't they, Hell's Paradise? They're just flanking around the side and getting the jump, and that's worked twice now. I was pretty confused about the Inkbrush's position as well, because I thought having the audacity to shark there, I thought they were on their own side, but they weren't. They were in Potager's territory, so the Inkbrush creates a lot of opportunities for Hell's Paradise here as well. It's been working really well, so again, it looks like they're kind of suffocating under the weight of Hell's Paradise's aggression, and this is a bit more the tone that we saw on the winner's side, really.
I'm starting to pick up like what Hell's Paradise is bringing here. Like as you said, just the amount of flanks and maneuvering that Hell's Paradise has been able to bring with their NZAP and their brush is keeping Potager at bay. They haven't been able to really take those 1v1s. But like the Tentabra will come in with the cleanup, just being a distraction on his own, keeping it contested, while the brush and the NZAP just come in and wreak havoc, and that is going to be the KO for Hell's Paradise with that strategy.
Blimey, so that is... is this going to really be a situation where there's a 3-0, a reverse 3-0, and then a 3-0 again? Because it feels like that's what we're looking at, which is... I don't think I've ever seen a grand finals that leads into a reset, that leads into a reverse sweep. I've seen resets where then the team that got the reset get to pop off further, but it's it's certainly unpredictable right now. I mean, Hells Paradise are probably going to be feeling pretty chuffed after what was a rough initial engagement with Protege. They now have the luxury of 2 counter picks. So even if they lose Protege's kind of counter pick choice here, they've got 2 opportunities on their own terms to turn it around, which heavily favors them. So we'll have to see how it goes. Protege picking Mahi. Isn't this where they took them last time and lost?
No, it was actually Hell's Paradise that chose Mahi last time, and it was Protege that was able to come out on top of that pick. So, like, I was just gonna say this, like, I feel like it came down to a warm-up for Hell's Paradise. The fact they were on such a large cooldown, they needed that first set to get warmed up, but they got extremely unlucky with their picks. They happened to pick maps that also favored Protege's style, and we're seeing that right here. Mahi is going to be the counterpick for Protege this time around, so we can see that both of these teams really have a game plan for this going in. However, considering Protege came out on top last time, we'll see if Hell's Paradise has learned from that encounter.
Yeah, Protege locked in the composition almost immediately as well, so very confident. Don't feel like they need to change much about builds. This must be their Hail Mary, really. They're going all in and doing what they can to turn it around. Looks like Wasabo's thinking a bit about their build here in terms of who was the Enzap, who was just doing so much work in the previous games, so maybe they're thinking about switching up their build a little bit to contest what Protege's kind of preferential playstyle is. But here we go, not wasting any more time. This is tournament point for Hell's Paradise. If they win this game, they clutch the title, but Protege are not going to go down without a fight, and they have proven that they are not to be underestimated. So let's see how they roll out here.
We did see in the last time they were on Mahi that Hell's Paradise really shined once the water dropped. Like, they had a bit of a rough start. Protege had the opening, and they seem to have had the opening once again, getting that first zone camp. And it's like once we got into halfway in the game that Hell's Paradise really started to take map back. It just a little bit too little too late, as it were. But a bit of a 2v1 situation here. Just the rapid remaining. They're going to be chased down by the Enzap, and both of the jumps get it picked down. That is going to be absolutely crucial for Protege. Going to be getting a lot of points off that.
This has been a kind of clutch and reverse clutch situation, because Anger on the Brella did such a good job of stalling Protege's aggression by that 2v1 kind of trade. But then, like you say, them catching the jumps there on Hell's Paradise, getting back in, that has really hampered their ability to get much control. And look at that! They nearly got the retake! They were setting up for the retake, and then a sudden wipeout. That is huge. So suddenly, Protege, massive momentum, probably quite close to specials, got the wave breaker out, have full map control. Hell's Paradise don't have any time to think here. They've got to get something moving, and they're only going to get one shot to do it, Imad.
Indeed, we're down to 10 points. It's just the E-leader is trying to keep the zone painted, but there's a 2v2 situation, and one of them being the E-leader means that you're going to be at a bit of a deficit with just the Enzap painting. The rest of Hell's Paradise are able to come back in, and they take that zone with only 6 points remaining. Like that, to turn bad so quickly there, with just the E-leader off of Protege being the one remaining, but Hell's Paradise was able to come back with that pretty effectively, and as you said, like, they had to get something moving, and they did so.
Yeah, I mean, to do that under that level of pressure is an incredibly impressive feat, because all the momentum was with Protege there. They had map advantage, they didn't exactly have a specials deficit, they had more kind of movement options, and they had the favourable position. So for Hell's Paradise to come on top in that engagement is nothing short of incredible. However, Protege not tilted, it looks like. They're set up again, they've got the momentum again. The penalty is getting worn down very quick. They have just lost their dualies, but they're retreating and setting up accordingly. So Protege again looking really strong here, and even though Hell's Paradise have the map set up now that is more in their favour, and they're probably going to get a reclaim here, they are struggling.
Indeed, there's going to be 2 members off of Hell's Paradise down. were able to cap the zone enough to get some more penalty on. They're going to get some more points in their favor, but like they just don't have the manpower or paint to really hang on to the zone for too long. Like they've been able to cap the zone but not been able to push up past it, and that is the key point that they need to do. But they might be able to do so now. The splash shot just went down. 2 more members of Potager have dropped, and the end up is going to be going down as well. It's just the crab tank and the E-leader just kind of locking things down, keeping Hells Paradise from getting too much ground.
Yeah, I feel like Hells Paradise are beginning to get a bit of momentum, but not in any kind of meaningful way. Like, they need much more than this if they're going to turn this game around with only 2 minutes left on the clock. I will say Zay, the ink brush, has done a really good job of getting penalties. Like, look at that. They always know when they need to go in and get that cap. The amount of times they've kind of hidden behind the kind of pillows and then just painted enough of the zone to get the penalty has been a massive factor in keeping Hells Paradise in this. So I think Zay has done really well here, has had very good survivability against Potager's pressure, and that has been a big factor in the fact that Potager have this steep 50-point penalty to work off now. But Hells Paradise, they're really struggling to hold the zone. Oh, beautiful Zuka shot. But other than that, they are really struggling to hold the zone for an extended amount of time, and that's going to cost them.
Indeed, like this map doesn't really offer too much of a cover, and when you're going up against the E-leader, that can be quite painful. Like, we do see the Tensor pushing up, but as I said again, like they haven't been able to really get foothold on the opposite side of zone. Like Potager has been able to just drop down. The E-leader has been able to just open things up for them, and then once the specials start rolling, they're forced to back up. They do have control of the zone for the time being, but it is like down to the last minute.
Oh, and that's huge though, that not just getting the direct on the E-leader when they absolutely needed a direct. The wave breaker getting thrown out a little bit perhaps closer to their base than they would have liked, and Hells Paradise timer is now I was just about to say their penalty is now gone, and then immediately just gorgeous quick recap. So Potager hanging in there. Hells Paradise starting to have some moments to shine. We're looking like they could take this, but I think Potager know what their game plan is at this point. It's hang in there long enough and throw everything out there to get that one reclaim. That is a gorgeous bomb by the NZAP, and that is going to be what secures the game for Potager, I think, but maybe not. I don't know.
Absolutely, commentator's curse coming into play. The E-leader was the last one remaining. While they did get a pick, that's going to be all of their members just coming back from spawn. They do have the crab online, but it is going to be taken down almost immediately. Hell's Paradise in overtime. They are pushing up so far into Potager's base, and they're getting splat after splat. They're keeping them staggered pretty hard. It's just they just got to keep that ends up away from the zone, because we saw before, they can flip that zone so quickly with the amount of paint they can output.
Yeah, and we're seeing a situation here where there was a scrappy kind of attempt to take the zone, but that vulnerability that I say that happens when people get distracted and people get penalized, and Hell's Paradise seizing that opportunity, knowing that Potager were desperate to get that penalty, just went on the offensive and blitzed 3 of them, and that has closed it out. So incredibly, after being 3-0'd by Potager, 3-0 them back, and that was an incredible grand, because I think we got to see both teams shine at their absolute best and respond to pressure in a way that was really educational if you're someone that is looking to improve in the competitive scene. So yeah, huge congratulations to Hells Paradise, but Potager, what entertainers.
Indeed, like that was almost a repeat of what we saw in Hammerhead. Potager getting the early lead, having such a dominant position for the majority of the match, and then Hells Paradise getting one foothold in overtime of all things, and just keeping them staggered long enough to hold on to it. They were able to get the 3 down. The E-leader was able to get a pick, but it is not a painter. They were able to keep their main painter, the NZAP, and the splatter shot away from the zone long enough to get the points that they needed, and that was what was able to bring that game back for them.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful game sense, and a series of so many small decisions made in split seconds that all come together to be a clutch winning strategy. Incredible tournament. that sadly brings us to the end of Triton Cup 59. 53 incredible teams that have battled it out. Hells Paradise coming out on top. The talent in this community at the moment is unreal, and it is such a privilege to commentate it. And it has, been really, really fun commentating with you, Imad. But before we go, shameless plug time. So, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me in all the usual places: Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube at AhmedGamerII. And you can find me here on Dapple Productions or on Inkling Performance Labs. I am quite frequent in the commentator circle, especially for Wednesday nights with SOS. So if you don't see me here, you'll definitely see me somewhere commentating. But where can the good people find you, my friend?
It's amazing stuff. I haven't seen SOS in a while, but it was amazing last time I checked it out. So I will look forward to coming to see you there soon. People can find me on Twitter at chiliboy_splat. I was mainly just posting kind of Splatoon content and hype stuff that's come from kind of sets I've commentated or spectated. But recently, because I keep getting memed on for being British, I'm expanding kind of British memes on there as well, just to educate folks that don't know as much about the UK. So it's nothing interesting, but you're very welcome to follow me and come along and say hello, and I'll follow back. I guess any other final reflections I'm had before we sign out. A big thank you to Brownie as well for being our wonderful streamer this evening that has kept things running smoothly. So big thank you to you too.
Oh, absolutely. Big shout out to our streamer. And I just want to apologize to all the poor teens that we have cursed tonight with our commentators' curse. Like, the expectations went completely out the window with this tournament tonight. And it's just so much fun to watch. So well performed by all these teams.
Absolutely. I don't think there's much more I can add to that. It's so fun to do this stuff. It's a great way to settle into and start the weekend. So that is us signing off for now at Dapple Productions. Thank you so much for joining us and being active in the chat and feeling kind of the adrenaline alongside us all. It's always beautiful to see the community coming together and connect, and we'll look forward to seeing you in many other kind of tournament series coming soon. So all the best.
Absolutely. Have a good night, everyone.